Hey guys, welcome to Actualol. Today I'm going to try something a bit different. I'm going to do a video about the games that are leaving my collection this month. I live in a kind of a small flat and I have to limit how many games I have in my collection, and there are just some that haven't quite hit the spot for me lately, so I'm getting rid of them, and I thought I'd talk about a bit about them, why they didn't work for me. This is a new feature. It's a bit freestyle, so please let me know what you think of it in the comments. I'd love to know if you think I should keep doing it or try something else. The first game on the list is Pingo Pingo, which is a family sort of party game famous for this dart gun. The reason this game didn't really work for me is because I've got a habit of buying these family games, sort of silly family games, and thinking that they're going to work for adults, and they just don't. There's a soundtrack going on, it's a 15-minute soundtrack, and there's noises going on telling you to do things at certain times, but you're flipping cards, and most of the time you're just doing kind of boring stuff, like you're flipping a card and it's the first person to slam their card, slam their hand down on the deck, and they win the card, they get a point. But occasionally cards come up that mean that you can use the gun, and there's some targets set up around the room, and when it's your time to use the gun, then you pick up the gun and you can shoot at the target. The main thing that didn't work for this game for me is the first time we played, it's 15 minutes long, which is kind of long for a real-time game. And I didn't get to use the gun once. I bought this game because the gun is like really exciting, and my two other friends, they drew the cards that meant that they got to pick up the gun and use it, and I didn't get to use it. And that for me just like is a complete flaw in a game like this, but also in a family game where I'm sure kids would like be heartbroken. I wasn't crying, but And then the rest of the game is just kind of dull. Like it just feels like everything else has been put together just to be a game surrounding the gun, and so the other parts are just really dull. That's number one, Pingo Pingo, out of my collection. The second game that's leaving my collection this month is The King is Dead from Osprey Publishing. Players are trying to influence power struggles that are taking part in the country, and you're trying to get the most influence in the faction that eventually succeeds to the throne. Now the theme of this really grabbed me, and it kind of made me think of Game of Thrones, which is sad but, true. The theme is there a little bit, but effectively this is an abstract game. It's very thinky and it's very dry. Basically, every player has a hand of only 8 cards, and you only play 8 cards in the whole game. Once you've played them, they're used up. Not only are you putting cards down to kind of put cubes onto the board and move them around, but every time you play a card, you actually take a cube off the board and put it into your influence pool. So if I think that yellows are doing well, then I would want to take a yellow cube off. But the trouble is, and this is the tricky thing about the game, is that every time you take a yellow cube off, obviously it's weakening them on the board. Every game kind of feels the same, and I'm sure if you got really into it, it would become sort of chess-like, and you could really think through your moves. I think a lot of it is about kind of waiting for your time to make your move, things like that. And so I think there is a really good game in here, and it's not that I didn't enjoy it, but I just think I want a game to sort of come alive a bit more for me, and that is The King is Dead from Osprey Publishing. That's the second game that's leaving my collection this month. The third game that's leaving my collection this month is Capo di Capi, and I don't have that with me because I've actually sold it already. Capo di Capi is a really short filler game. It's a push your luck dice game, so on your turn you're just rolling your dice. First of all, it feels like so much admin because you've got this little player card that's telling you what happens when you roll certain dice. I would have a turn where I'd roll the same kind of numbers every time and just constantly refer to the sheet, because you never really learn what the numbers are because there's just too many different combinations, too many different things it could be. And so you sort of roll the dice and look at the sheet and then do the thing that it says without making a decision. You just roll the dice, look at the sheet and do the thing that it says. It's that combination really of this admin but then also never really feeling in control. I played it a whole bunch of times, and both me and my opponent, every time I played, we had no idea why that person won. I couldn't say that I did anything to deserve a victory, and when they won, they would agree completely. And so it just felt like this fruitless exercise where you roll the dice for a bit, make a very few minor decisions, and then somebody wins. It's also particularly confusing because there are some reviewers out there that really like this game, and I'm sort of always a bit disappointed when I can't see in a game what other people appreciate. But we tried it, and I wanted to like it, I really did, but it just didn't work for me. So The third game leaving my collection this month is Capo di Capi. As well as talking about the games that are leaving my collection this month, I'd like to talk about the games that I'm sort of on the fence about. I feel like I need to start thinking about games that I want to get rid of to make way for new games, especially games coming in from Essen. And so there are a few games in my collection that I feel like I want to get rid of, but I'm not too sure, like I don't want to pull the trigger just yet. The first of these is Tragedy Looper from Z-Man Games. Now, this is a heavy deduction game. One player plays as like the overlord, so they know everything, and you're trying to work everything out and stop them from achieving their victory. It has a time travel theme, so you end up sort of making certain movements which can force a failure. You go back in time to repeat your actions, hopefully not repeat your mistakes. And so over time you sort of learn what you did wrong, and you learn more things about the characters and what their objectives might be. First of all, you've got this theme and artwork, which to me is really unappealing and certainly would be to all my friends. The task of having to learn it properly myself, play the Overlord and introduce it to my friends just feels overwhelming, and I'm not sure that I would pick it over all the other games I have in my collection and other new games that I want to try. Also, I recently picked up Time Stories, which is another time travel game that has similar ideas, but I think is very different ultimately. This is just a very heavy deduction game, and I'm not sure I'm completely cut out for that. And maybe I just need to make my peace with that and sell the game. But on the other hand, it is a really good game, and it feels sad to get rid of a game that I did enjoy and I know is good and just sort of get rid of it out of my collection. It also is kind of a small, thin box, and so it's not taking up as much space as some of the other games. The second game that I'm on the fence about is Tales of Arabian Nights, also from Z-Man Games. Now, this is a classic storytelling game. You're moving around, you're playing a character, maybe Aladdin, and you'll move to a place, have an encounter, draw a card, and it will give you a reference number that will end up taking you to a massive book that's in this game of encounters, where you'll read out what happens to your play. And so it is kind of like one of those choose your own adventure books. Now, I thought that I'd really like that as an idea. I saw the Shut Up and Sit Down review of this game, and they raved about it and said that it was really good fun, and I totally bought into it. I was desperate to get this game for ages. It was out of print for ages, and then when I played it, it just didn't quite click for me. It feels like a lot of work to get the story. You kind of have to move around the board and draw the card and look up the number. Then you have to make the decision, which gives you another number. You have to roll a dice, which is like a plus or a minus. Then you have to turn to the right page in the book and read it out. And then the other thing that kind of gets me a little bit is the random element of it. Sometimes you just kind of do stuff and you're not really sure why, and then you make decisions and they don't always feel like they're connecting to the results and stuff. I don't think I'd mind so much if it was like a half-hour game, but this game takes a good couple of hours, maybe a bit longer, especially with more players. But maybe I'd rather play a game that also has storytelling, like Dead of Winter, something where you actually feel invested in the decisions you're making, where you feel control over the game, where you win for a reason rather than what feels like a roll of a dice sometimes. The third game that I'm on the fence about is Twilight Imperium 3. And I know that might strike fear into the hearts of some people out there. I've had this game for over a year now and only played it once. I learned the rules. I spent what felt like a day sort of learning the rules. I got all my friends to learn the rules. We were all new to the game, so that was incredibly sort of difficult beginning experience with it. And it was a 5-player game, and actually, rules-wise, it went pretty well. It took forever, and I think we were kind of playing it wrong in the sense that people were scared to go for... They felt like the secret objective cards weren't achievable, so they didn't really go for them, so no one was getting points like that. And people were scared to use the Imperial strategy to get the 2 points, whatever it is. They were scared of getting those points because they were scared of getting ahead in the game. They sort of understand games like Game of Thrones and things where getting ahead you become the leader and then suddenly you become a target, and they didn't want that to happen. So we played for hours and hours without anyone attacking anyone else and anyone getting any points. And that's not really why I'm thinking about getting rid of this game. I understand that we were kind of playing with the wrong sentiment. The thing that I'm not too sure about is just that it's such a long game, it's such a heavy experience that I can't really imagine ever having to try and teach it to someone else. But on top of that, it's incredibly long, takes up a whole day, and would I rather play sort of 2 or 3 other games in space of it? Because it's taking up a huge space in my wardrobe, which is why I haven't got the box out here now to show you, is it worth it? Is it worth hanging on for that kind of once a year experience? Like, will that experience be so mind-blowing that it's worth taking up all that space in my wardrobe for? Or should I get rid of it? Let me know what you think in the comments. So that's it. That's the 3 games that are leaving my collection this month, as well as 3 games that I'm on the fence about. Please let me know in the comments whether you think I should keep those or get rid of them. But more importantly, let me know what you think of this segment. This is a new thing I'm trying out, a freeform thing. If you think I should try more things like this, then please let me know. But if you don't, and I should stick to my scripted reviews and top 10 videos, then let me know that too. If you'd like to see more videos like this, then please subscribe to my channel. Check out my Facebook and Twitter at Actualol, as well as my website at actualol.com. I'm John Perkis. Thanks for watching.